Early this year, I spoke with Australian children's and country music entertainer Colin Buchanan in an event held in the Wesley Centre. This is the second part of that conversation. I hope you enjoy it. I remember talking to the late George Hamilton IV and some of those people that were top singers in America from the field and genre that you are part of, and asking him why it was that people in the country and Western world often switch easily into gospel. And is that part of the reason? Because the Christian faith is a story, and basically so many songs that are released in the popular genre don't really have a story. They don't even have a beginning, a middle, and an end. But your songs do.
I've always loved stories. I mean, I love songs that paint a picture, put me in a place. I mean, I went to Burke and started listening to music that had been written about that place, and just the resonance. You know, you listen to a great John Williamson song about the country, and you stand in with red dirt on your feet, and you think, this is absolutely authentic. I can see this song, and I think, you know, you write songs. You know, I know the cliche is lying, dying and crying, sort of play it backwards and the dog comes back, sort of thing. But genuinely songs that resonate with stories, and it happens occasionally in the pop scene. I always loved when, you know, I sometimes thought I was a little bit born just that little bit too late, because that singer-songwriter thing of the 60s when James Taylor and Jackson Browne and of course Dylan and all those people were right there, and they were telling stories. I think it's come back a bit, actually.
For sure. And I know that time at Burt was kind of it was seminal for you, and it was a defining period of time. Yep. You look back at your career. You've now involved very much at Tamworth, you know, and you've had your own awards and recognitions, haven't you?
Yeah, 3 doctorates.
Yeah.
A lot of great infrastructure projects.
But you have, and I think you've been modest about that, but it's right to say that recognition's been important. But also, I listen to you sometimes on a Friday. I call it Thank Goodness It's Friday. And I think that's an interesting thing just to explore for a moment, because there sometimes you're discussing an issue of the day, and really, I listen to it and think, oh, Colin's in on this one now. What is he going to say about this? I mean, making the Christian witness in the public square is very important, isn't it?
It really is. And look, if you can't be, none of us are objective to life. We're all participating in it. And I think as a Christian, it's such a compelling thing to know God. It affects the entirety of your life. So you take that into the office. You take it into whatever area you find yourself at the workbench. And for me, the workbench can be in there at ABC on a satirical Friday event, and that's always. I mean, I'm probably one of the more childish. I'm probably more the kick me sticker on your back sort of guy, or you know, maybe a funny picture on the blackboard before the teacher arrives, as opposed to sort of. I don't like it when it gets sort of crude, and you can probably hear me just pedaling back on the accelerator.
I do.
Yeah, and I think, well, I'll let him go because I'm just one of 3. But I will say Richard Glover is a really interesting cat, because he says, you're a Christian, you know, you just be who you are here, and that's what I say to all my guests. And so I find it's a really great place to just. It's almost like someone's put a camera or a microphone in the lunchroom. And they're recording that conversation, and I do find a lot of Christians will say, "Oh, I like hearing you there," and just sort of seeing how you navigate that whole thing. But I am there to try and be humorous as well. So,
and I think Richard interviewed you about your latest thing, and there he just gave you permission, didn't he? This is about the cross, and it's about the faith. Talk about that. They weren't interested in listening to. That's what you are.
Yeah, no, it was very interesting. He beforehand he bustled in and said, "No, we're going to talk about, we want to talk about Christian faith. You're happy with that?" And I said, "Well, you heard the album." But that was great. He really did give license. And someone texted actually at the end of that, and I mean there were some complimentary texts, but there was someone who said, "What are you giving the Christians airtime for here? You know, this is the ABC." And literally, and so he went to News and Weather, and he came back, and And he travelled with me writing a story for the Good Weekend in the early 90s. And I haven't actually heard, I've only heard it secondhand because I was talking about microphones to the recording engineer while this was happening. But he said, I travelled with Colin and we went to the Christian community, we went to a church in Burke, and he said the love that I saw amongst those people, especially in a time of drought, was deeply affected me and continues to deeply affect me. That's authentic love amongst these Christian people, and I'm not a Christian, but that's something that I saw and really appreciated. And at the ABC, we'll give anyone a go, even the Christians.
I hope you found that conversation with Colin interesting. It's the second part of a conversation filmed early this year.